Welcome to the Loving You interview series, conversations with wellbeing and holistic experts on self-care and self-love. I'm your host, Rachel, and the creator of Under the Dancing Tree, School of Sacred Dance and Healing. And today I have with me Katie Holland, who is one of my favourite people in the world, but also the creator of Awakened Belly Dance. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you.
So excited to have you
here. You're also one of my most favourite people in the world.
This interview is going to be all lovey-dovey today.
Shall we just snuggle?
Yeah. So these conversations are all about self-care and self-love, and really about expanding our toolbox in the ways that we can find different pathways to loving ourselves more. So I brought Katie on today to really talk about all her ways of finding love with herself and on her path, and all the ways that she facilitates this for other women as well. So I'd love to begin, Katie, with you introducing yourself. So a little bit about you and what you do, and then also your path to how you got where you are, because I really find with so many people that become holistic and wellbeing experts that what they deliver, they are so passionate about, and they deliver it because it supported them on their own journey, and it's actually one of their biggest tools for self-love. So it's all of that in maybe a few paragraphs.
And I'll do my best. So I guess as an umbrella title, I would call myself a sacred dance therapist. And as you know, I've studied all kinds of sacred and cultural dances from around the world. And I've been really lucky because mostly I've studied them in the countries of origin with the teachers who are also from those countries and have had lineages that you can trace. And it's been really amazing to just to really be able to study it at the root of a culture, and to really live the dance and eat the dance and just be in it. So really my whole adult life has been spent doing this. So I started learning Middle Eastern dances when I was 15, and I'm 41 now. So really from that time, I had this insatiable passion to just absorb as much as I could, and I didn't really know where it was taking me exactly. I knew that there was a coming together of information that was contained or is contained within my body. And I didn't really understand at the beginning, especially where it was taking me. But I knew that I was going to do something with dance, and it was connected to well-being, to self-empowerment, to sovereignty, to healing. And it was just a case of me working out how am I going to create that. So it was a really, really long journey and very frustrating at times to get to the point, as you know, when you did the first Awaken Belly Dance training, that was it was really almost like a relief for me, because I felt like, okay, this is what I came here to do, and I'm really doing it. It was just like this huge pressure that I'd felt since I was 7 years old suddenly lifted, and it felt like I can enjoy my life now. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy it before, but it was like I had such focus and such intensity and drive that there's this thing, and if I don't do it, well, there wasn't an option to not do it, really. So when I finally had it and said, okay, world, take this, and it was like I could just say, okay, right, now let's see where this goes. So within that time, my own journey has been a very emotional one, I guess you could say, in all kinds of ways, and I've really had to work hard to sort myself out, I guess, in the simplest way, and this has been from things I've experienced myself. So it's like being bullied at school and all of the effect that that had on my confidence and my perception of life, and yeah, and my perception of trust and people around me. And then when I was 7, I started to have lots of past life recall, and then there's all things about ancestors and the epigenetic patterns that I was carrying. And you know, it's like all these different avenues that we don't realize that we're influenced by, and that we're living our life through. It's been like a spider's web, picking it all apart layer by layer, and alongside all of the day-to-day emotional living in this body at this time that I've also experienced, and also how that has reflected each other as my life has gone on. So it's been interesting in that way. When I started to see the things that were coming up were also mirrored in what was happening in my day-to-day life. So that, coupled with 3 really huge Kundalini spontaneous explosions, just to add to the mix, that also act as propellants, taking me forwards on my soul path, really. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's quite difficult, as you say, to put it into a few paragraphs. And obviously it's still ongoing as well. There's even just last weekend, there's something that I got a kind of vision of, and I thought, oh, okay, that explains that now, and it's like another piece of the puzzle.
Whew. Sounds so busy. Yeah. And what has self-love meant for you on that journey, you know, and how has that changed and evolved for you? So how have you been loving you, you know, from right from the beginning and up until now, and how have you found that along the way?
I think it really was something that I had to learn to do, because I've really felt like I had this mission, this soul path, and the idea of my body being a vehicle for that, I think, was inherent from a really young age. So that, as well, combined with being able to leave my body really easily and astral travel and escape and distract myself and disconnect from things when they were difficult. It really took a long time for me to be able to accept that, to really be grounded and to really bring things into manifestation, I need to accept that I have this body and this physicality, and yes, it's a vehicle for my soul, but I also need to take care of that vehicle. So my I guess in that way of, I did take care of it in, you know, doing yoga and exercise, and obviously I was training in dance, but I was very masculine in my approach to it. It was just like, you know, really kicking the shit out of myself, really. And at the same time, my free time, party time, was also to the same extreme. So it was like there was never any let up for my physical body. And when I had the first Kundalini experience when I was 27, 28, and I really was forced to just do nothing because I couldn't move. I lost all my physical strength, and I just wanted to sleep all the time. And I realised that I have to really listen to my body in this, because I'm not going to recover otherwise, because it was like a short circuit of my nervous system, my physical system, everything. So I guess it was at that point that I really started to take notice, and also to preempt rather than waiting until it was too late. I started to notice, oh, okay, this is a warning sign, this is a warning sign. Like my knees ache, okay, this means I need to sleep. Like this kind of thing. And then also, although I was already vegan and very healthy in my eating, it was also then listening, okay, body, what food do you want to have today? You know, what combination of foods, when do you want to eat them, and then that also tied in with my menstrual cycle and becoming much more aware through the months. So it was really like a big boom, like you are going to listen, and things aren't going to move forward for you unless you do. So it was definitely a hard truth.
Yeah.
In that year, that and it probably took a couple of years before I really felt like I feel strong again and I feel like me again. So yeah, from that time. So
oh, and it's a constant learning curve, you know, and there's so many layers, you know, you take away one lane, then there's always another, you know, it's never, the work's never finished. And
yeah,
I think a lot of people think, okay, when I reach this point, then that's it then, you know, I think like a lot of students or clients, you know, will see the expert and think, okay, well, they've reached that point where they've just got it completely sorted. You know, they get up at 6 a.m, they do their yoga, have their green juice, and like, you know, everything is well and dandy and they know everything. But actually, I was saying this to Katie before, I was talking about kind of self-employment and the fact that with self-employment and running a wellness business, you know, half of the time is actually spent doing your own work, you know, and constantly, you know, diving into all of those depths. And there's always something you need to uncover, and you can always listen deeper to your body. There's always new ways to love it, and to honor it, definitely.
yeah, and I mean, you know, one of my often used catchphrases is that I'll never ask somebody to go to a place that I haven't been before, and I think that as a facilitator or somebody supporting people on their path, you have to have gone into those shadows and into those depths of yourself, because you're not going to have the empathy or the understanding or the capabilities to support somebody in moving through that themselves if you haven't been. So it means then you have to keep continually working and expanding your being, and really looking at yourself, not just the parts that you like, it's all the parts of you, and also accepting all of those parts as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So when you're facilitating, and you have facilitated many women in many different, and men in many different contexts, you know, on retreats and in workshops and trainings, what have you found is the biggest barrier that people have to self-love and self-care?
I think with everything, it always comes back to fear. And that fear really at its root is that we all have this inherent fear of death. And any change that we make, there's always a what if, what will happen if I change that and I go into the unknown of that, and well, does that mean this or does that mean that? And then in our unconscious mind, the end result is always, well, I might die, even though you might think, well, how does self-love equate with dying? But often really radical self-love means that you have to make a lot of big changes, because we're not conditioned to self-love. It's really completely the opposite, that we're taught that it's selfish if we love ourselves, and you know, why to put ourselves first, because we should be looking after everybody else and giving all the time and not receiving for us. So it's really a complete switch around of our mindset to go into, well, actually, I'm really precious, and me as this body really deserves to be loved, and you can't look for that love outside of you until you're giving it to yourself as well.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Feel that one. So yeah, on my journey, like the past year, it's been about receiving it. And I didn't realize that. I was like, oh, but I give so much love, and it's like it's not coming back. And then I was like, well, am I actually receiving it fully, or am I only kind of receiving what I think should come? Or I kind of had these conditions on, like, it only come in this way and I'd only accept it in that form or this form. Yes, and I think I found a lot of people kind of resonated with that, and it's about the receiving, that's kind of like their biggest difficulty with, you know, self-love with themselves, and then self-love external, you know, in all ways. It's just allowing that receiving. And especially as women, I think we do feel a lot that we are the givers rather than the receivers of love. You know, we're seen as kind of like, you know, if they kind of say about, if there was a female ruler, then she'd always be more loving. There's always that expectation of like that maternal, you know, kind of instinct. And it's very, I think a lot of women kind of feel more ease with it being outward. And when it's coming back, they feel almost like kind of resistance to it.
Yeah, and also how we sabotage it as well. We sabotage the ways that we can receive. When the opportunity's there, we're still sabotaging it, because then it's coming back to how worthy, the self-worth. Do we feel that we're worthy to receive that love, and worthy to give ourselves that love? And this is something, yeah, probably the last year or so that I've really been looking at in myself, of this self-worth and what I thought my self-worth was, and now how I can take that deeper and really honor myself in in my worthiness, and feeling worthy to take my place on this planet. Because again, it's almost like a conditioning that we're here by default or something, but actually we're here for a reason, and we've chosen these bodies and these life experiences for a reason. And why aren't we worthy to receive everything, all of the good stuff, and all of the abundance, and all of the love? Why is it so difficult for us to receive that and to accept it?
And how can Awaken Belly Dance help with this? So I'd love you to talk into, I mean, a lot of my students that will be watching this, they'll be like, I know, because it's happened. And honestly, once you've done it, you know. But I love, for all those people that haven't experienced Awaken Belly Dance yet, which is Katie's creation. And really is, this creation is here to kind of, as part of this toolkit, to up level our self-love and our self-care. And I really truly believe that. I've seen the phenomenal, I've seen it, you know, in students, that's that life-changingness that happens, and I personally experienced that as well. So I'd love for you, Katie, to kind of to share, how is Awaken Belly Dance a tool? Like, how does it work? What does it do to us?
How does it work? That is the question.
I know. Again, can you say it in just a paragraph?
How it works is how you need it to work. I can't say there's a hard and fast way that this is what we're going to do and this is what's going to happen for you. It's going to be what is needed for you. So this can be from, I mean, completely a multitude of possibilities and aspects for people, because we've each got our own experiences we've had in this life and the filters that we have on it. And so for some people, moving through one kind of emotion or release might be quite relaxing, and then for others it might be very strong and intense. So I think really at its core, Awaken Belly Dance it's connecting us to ourselves. We're creating a dialogue with our body, with our soul, and I'm really looking at, well, who is this voice that's speaking through me? Who is having these thoughts? Who is making these actions? And do they all work together as one, or am I acting as separate entities from what I think is one body. So it's really emerging. So you could say it from a masculine and feminine, a shadow and light perspective, but there's all of the other degrees within that as well. And then through that, really discovering that actually you already know all this information already. And I think that's, for me, one of the most exciting things when I see this look of recognition and remembering that people have, and they're like, oh wow, this, I know, I can feel it in my body. It's, I just needed the key to activate it. And actually all of this wisdom, all of the knowledge, all the magic, the alchemy is already in my body, and I just forgot how to access it. So if that helps explain.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things, you know, people say, like, you know, when you know, you know.
Yeah, and also it's you're giving yourself permission to let go of all of these unneeded parts of you. Maybe you needed them at some point in your life, but you're at a point where it's no longer required, and like you're streamlining yourself, so you're becoming more and more and more shiny and light, and I'm more sovereign and divine to you. So I always imagine it in my own body almost like a golden arrow, that this is my path, and I might do this, but I always have this alignment. And that's what I've really noticed with people with awakened belly dancers, that they come to their truth. They come into their true alignment within themselves, which again is different for every single person.
Yeah, and I think yeah, it's so different. I mean, there's so many different, I talk about this toolkit of, you know, self-love and self-care, and there's just so many different things that you can access, and there's a lot of kind of movement meditations and different ways of accessing it if you're interested in movement for healing. But awakened belly dance has this other aspect that I personally haven't found anywhere else, and I know that it was something that I was searching for a long time. So I mean, I've been teaching for 15 years now, belly dancing and Polynesian dance, and I think I met you, Katie, like near the beginning. I think I'm pretty sure it was near the beginning. I was definitely in my teens, and I'd been feeling in myself, and I've since found with my students just a technique class with belly dancing. And when people say, oh yeah, I want to try belly dancing, I'm like, well, just coming to a technique class and just learning the moves, there's something that awakens within women, you know, and that term awakened is so important. Just moving their hips, there's something that's like a box that's opened, and then taking that into that layer where you're not thinking, because obviously, I mean, in a technique class, I can tell when people have got their glutes clenched and their jaws like, it's like thinking face. But when you take them into that space of, I suppose you call it trance or meditation, they're moving their body and moving their womb space, you know, but in this space where there's no thinking at all, there's no judgment, there's no conditions, no expectations, any of that. And that is where that true awakening happens, is in that point. And there's nothing, I haven't found it yet that offers this same kind of real deep dive into, I don't know, you know, it's so difficult to put into words. Like you said, I made you say it in a paragraph, but it's just one of those things where you just have to just like, just do it.
Yeah, definitely.
But like for me, like, you know, like belly dancing is so feminine, so sensual. You really get deep into those feminine mysteries and into the womb space. But actually, I've also found that it's, for me, like my biggest journey is actually about the masculine. So I'm very feminine already. I'm like a girly girl, apart from not liking pink. But I'm starting to. But yeah, I'm so feminine. So, and for me, like, my wounds are in the masculine. And actually, I found that awakened belly dance and belly dance that you think is so sensual, so celebratory of woman and the female form. And we know that it has origins, you know, in birth and literal and metaphorical. But yeah, for me, it's been a healer of the masculine and the masculine wounds. Yeah, and I'd love for you to talk into how it can help people, you know, kind of from that other aspect, because you've spoken as well about, you know, your journeys with the masculine. And I think as women, we can very much think of ourselves in isolation as the feminine and as just feminine and in female bodies. But there is another aspect there that sometimes we've denied or made wrong or pushed aside. So how can awakened belly dance support our masculine as well, in men maybe as well, but also in the masculine within?
Okay, just before I say that, I just wanted to go back to what you said about how things can transform when you're in an altered state or in a trance state. And the way that I think of it is the opposite, really. I think of it in day-to-day life. It's a mass hypnosis that we're under, or to certain degrees, through the media, through religion, through conditioning, through society. There's a mass hypnosis going on. So this then is dictating the way that you live your life, the decisions that you make, the relationships you're in, and the way that you relate to yourself, how you're allowed to relate to yourself. So for me, something like awaken belly dance is you're actually breaking that spell and you're going into your natural state of being, which seems like it's trance, but actually you're coming out of the trance and you're going into your full awareness, your full intuition, you're fully switched on and activated. You can see and perceive all levels of reality, whether that's hearing or seeing or feeling, and you have access to so many different dimensions, and to really true alchemy, and to bring that then into this reality now and use it as a tool to further break that hypnosis. So again, coming to the awakening, it's like awakening from the spell. That's the way that I see it. So yeah, with the masculine, for me, the last 3-4 years, I've really been very focused on working in the masculine within me, but a lot with the shadow masculine. And this really started when I began to see the movement about the toxic masculine and the Me Too movement, and lots that has been coming out of the shadows. And obviously I've experienced all kinds of things from performing and living in different countries, and I mean, I could write probably a whole volume of books of Me Too with, you know, from all kinds of things. And what I found as I was reading various articles and things about it is that I was thinking, well, yes, I agree. There is this huge issue that's happening. And at the same time, we all have that element of toxic masculinity within us, because we all have the masculine and feminine, we all have the shadow, we all have the light. So I started to think, okay, well, how would it be if I start to look at that in me? And also because things that maybe, things about myself that I didn't want to look at so much, and finding where maybe I was in processes and I was accessing lots of rage and anger, and I didn't exactly know where it was coming from. And I remember I was in one session and I felt like the Incredible Hulk, like I'm just gonna explode. And as I was envisioning this exploding and rampaging, I thought to myself, you know, no matter how much I smashed things up, it isn't going to stop. It isn't going to sort it out. It would never be enough, because there's so much rage. And as soon as I had that thought, it was like it dissipated somehow, and it went into this different shift. And it was really from that moment that I thought, okay, I want to look at this, and how also I'm carrying this collective rage, because obviously we've got our own stuff, but for many of us, and especially if you're really empathic, you're holding it for everybody, and you don't necessarily know that it doesn't belong to you, but it's being transmuted through you. And this has also been part of my self-love, is about not processing for, you know, like the whole universe, just just being really clear that I'm only processing what belongs to me. And yeah, so I just did it in a very organic way, really, and thought, okay, I'll see what comes up as I'm doing different things. And what I started to find was that the more I worked on this in myself, the more men started to contact me to come to Awaken Belly Dance, and more couples started to come. Then other facilitators were saying, oh, I've got a couple that want to come to my sessions, or there's another man who wants to come. And I thought, okay, there's definitely a reflection here that's going on. And really, it was part of me becoming more whole. And obviously I'm still working on all of those aspects of me, and just really noticing where I felt most comfortable. You know, is it in the shadow feminine, is it in the light masculine? And noticing as time has gone on how that has changed, and that, oh, okay, I'm in this situation now, I need to draw on this. And then so really working with it in myself, instead of it controlling me being able to choose, right, I need to get a bit Carly in this, so I'm going to draw from there, or I need to be very soft and very, yeah, just really gentle in this situation. So this is what I need to draw on. But ultimately, that it's all of them together, because it's, yeah, it is that oneness that's really important, the unity within ourselves, and not ignoring any aspect of us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we've been so led to believe in kind of the rightness of being separate, you know, of being in boxes, you know, that masculine does this and the feminine does that, you know, and that imprints on us internally as well. And it's been really interesting in this series, for those that are watching just this video, I've interviewed a few men as well, and it's been such a place of kind of gratitude, and for me to actually hear that masculine voice from the masculine, you know, talking about self-love and self-care, and actually to have that insight. And when you're listening to that coming from the masculine, there is a part of you in your inner masculine that's like, oh, I'm being heard, you know. And actually I think a lot of the time we can when we hear like the Me Too movement, there can become a lot of anger and resentment and bitterness, and you know, kind of making the masculine wrong. And in many ways that's not helpful for us, and not helpful for them as well. And it's been interesting, like talking to the men, just saying that, and I said, what's the biggest thing that we can offer, you know, as women, as the feminine to the masculine? And the word they used was trust. And that really struck me. And I was like, wow, yes, yeah, there's a lot of woundings there. There is a lot of woundings, but, you know, there's many men that are trying their best. And very much the masculine within us wants to be loved and received as well.
Yeah, and also having that permission to feel and to be vulnerable, because this is something that's so um, kind of conditioned into small boys to not cry and to be tough, and and it's just gradually beating away this vulnerability that we all need to be allowed to have, and to be able to show and express. And yeah, and again for myself it was very almost like, if I admitted something like that, if I admitted to being vulnerable, I felt like I'd failed, because I was admitting to what I thought was being weak. But actually it isn't being weak, it's saying like, yeah, I've had this really shitty time, and you know, this is how I feel. And I think as well, especially in England, there's a real feeling of being stoic and hold it together, and you know, like you just get on with things and try and sweep it under the carpet and not talk about it. But actually they're the things that really need to be spoken about, and really need to be acknowledged, and for any of us, whether masculine or feminine, to feel safe and to have that trust that we can fall apart, and that we're going to be supported, and that it's safe to do that. And obviously Awaken Belly Dance is one of those vessels that holds people to be able to do that. And then it goes back to this level of fear again, because we're so scared that if we let go of all of those controls and structures, even though they're not the right thing, we're not happy with it, but it's more scary to know the unknown, or not to know the unknown. And it's easier just to stay with the unhappiness and what we do know. So it's like a whole tangle of things. And but yeah, I just really feel from what I've seen is that a lot of it comes back to the fear of being vulnerable, fear of not being able to trust, fear of not being safe, fear of not being valued or feeling worthy, and then sabotaging our ability to receive.
So what's the what's the message that you would give to fear, that the fear that arises in both men and women? What words would you say to fear? What does it need to hear?
I guess really, and they're not my words, but they're the words that always come back to me, and they're from Pai Villaraza, who's the creator of inner dance that I studied with. And he always speaks about feeling the fear, or standing in the fear and not being afraid. And when I first heard him say that, I thought, what? I don't know, I don't understand this.
Oxymoron.
Yeah. And, and especially because I grew up with a lot of fear from nightmares, and you know, it was like a very yeah, I had this big thing with fear of the dark, and yeah, just lots of weird stuff that was happening to me growing up that I didn't understand. And so to really, you know, to be in that fear and not be afraid, it's for anybody, when you think of your greatest fears, and it's not only looking at them in the face or looking at them from a distance, but you're allowing yourself to feel it and not go into the story of it. And I think this is really something that is so transformative, to be able to do that, and to be in a safe space where you're able to, and that you can let go to that extent, that you can really look at those fears, feel those fears, and know them as a part of you, and at the same time not let them control you, not let them dictate your reaction.
Yeah, and also, yeah, trusting that we can do all that, that we can hold space for ourselves, you know, that we are able. We come to kind of mistrusting ourselves, don't we, so much that we kind of almost we require somebody else to fix us, you know. And you might find this as a facilitator, but I certainly do, that people will come to me and kind of like, here I am, fix me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to help you fix yourself. And they're like, no, do it for me. It's like, you know, wanting mum to put the plaster on. And then it's just coming back to that there's that finding that trust again, and that, you know, that you're more than capable, and that you know better than anybody else what it is that you need. And and you know yourself, dust, and all of those layers. And it's having that courage to just be an allowance of yourself completely, and just trust yourself with yourself.
And we all have our own medicine, and it's a bit like learning the alphabet. It's learning the alphabet of you, and collating that, and also this idea about somebody's going to fix you, and we've all been there, we've all done that. And I think once you start to realize that actually, yes, that person is here to hold me, but actually I'm the only one that can make the changes. I have autonomy over myself. And once you've begun to do that and have experience of doing that with somebody else holding that space for you, the next stage is then being able to do that for yourself. And that then comes back to the loving kindness of yourself, and that you can hold yourself, and then that strengthens your sovereignty and your self-empowerment.
Definitely. I had this lovely image yesterday. I was talking to my brother about this, and I was trying to give an example, and I was thinking, oh, it's really warm, what can I think of? Okay, lollipops. And I was like, okay, so you really want a lollipop. So you ask somebody for the lollipop and they give you that lollipop, but it's you that's got to take it to your mouth and actually eat the lollipop. If you just stood there staring at them holding the lollipop, or even if you just sit there with the lollipop, it's a beautiful lollipop, but it's you that's got to take that action. So now somebody says it, I'm like, oh, it's the lollipop.
It's everything has to come from you taking action, and
asking for it in the first place. I mean, nobody's going to know that you want a lollipop unless you ask for the lollipop.
Exactly. And with the receiving and everything, it's like, well, these are my needs right now, and this is what I'm asking for, and that person then has the choice whether they give that or not, and that is then their choice, and then you again choose whether to receive it or not.
And not being attached to the outcome, like maybe you weren't meant to have the lollipop. Maybe there's another lollipop that's waiting for you in a different freezer.
It's even better.
So just seeing if there's anything else that I want to pick from your from your wondrous brain. I would love for you to share. So I think we'll come to my final question that I like asking everybody. I'd love for you to kind of share with people like what your favorite self-care, self-love tool is, and just what you kind of default to. And I know we always have that. This is about expanding our toolbox, so we can have lots of different things that we go to whenever we want, and some things work some days and some things don't work other days. But there's always kind of like one thing that you just know, like, oh, this really, really nourishes me, and this just makes me feel, So I'd love for you to share whatever that is for you.
I think that you know the answer already.
How did answer?
There's really not one thing. I think it really depends on why I feel that way and what mood I'm in that day, and also depending where I am, what country I'm in, and what's available to me. So it's really, yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm really spontaneous with things. So I'll just do whatever it is in that moment that I like, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm not really a lie in the bath with roses person at all. It's very rare. So yeah, for me, it's just probably to eat chips and drink cider. That's always been like, I love chips and like chip shop chips. And ever since I was a kid, anytime I would get ill or anything, the only thing I would want to eat is chips. When my mum was breastfeeding me, I only wanted to eat chips and milk, and that was that was it. So it's been this constant. So yeah, I guess probably just sitting and watching a film with chips and hummus and an organic cider. That is probably my go-to. Yeah, out of everything.
I can imagine like your spirit like totem animal is like the potato.
Yeah.
So there's a deeper lesson there. There's something about chips. There's like an essence in the potato that you need to go deep with.
Yeah, and I would even choose chips over chocolate. So
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you said that, you know, about the chips and the cider, because there's a lot, we can have so many expectations, like I was saying before, about kind of like that we set on ourselves, that, you know, our self-love, you know, should be the 6 a.m. 2 hours of yoga or the green juice, you know. And again, even when it comes to self-love, we set so many conditions, and then actually what we come back, what do you really want in that moment, and just not making yourself wrong, you know. And like I said in my introduction, that yeah, and you'll understand this, like being a dancer, people would expect you to say, oh, well, okay, it's going to be dance, but there are days where actually I don't want to dance. And that isn't the right thing, you know. Sometimes it's not being still for me. Again, I'm the same. I can't last in the bath for like 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, I need to do something. Why am I just lying here? I need to move. If I had a bath big enough to dance in, that would be very cool.
Swimming.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, you know, these things change every day, and that's what I really invite you to do, is to watch all of these videos in this series and just listen to people sharing what they do, and really expanding and adding to the toolbox. So you've got lots of various different tools, and you can take them out whenever you want, and you know who to go to when you want to learn more about that one. And not just kind of setting limitations on yourself, but opening up to full possibility and potential of all there is out there. And just, yeah, asking every single day, you know, what do I need and what is possible.
Yeah, and I think with all of the tools, as you evolve, your self-love tools are also evolving, because what you needed a year ago isn't the same as what you need now. And I think it's giving yourself permission as well to allow yourself to change and to evolve in your choices. So that it doesn't always have to be super healthy. You know, if you're being healthy 99.9% of the time, having a night to have chips and cider isn't going to do too much damage, really.
Yeah, and I think actually there's an aspect of more than the I don't know, maybe the nutritionists will have a go at me for saying that, but there's something in the, rather than the actual thing being healthy, is the choosing it for you because it's nutritional for you, not because of the nutritional count of the thing itself. It's that kind of that act, and you know, that kind of that that choice, you know. Even sometimes, like say you decided to do yoga, you might even find that whole hour of yoga, you might just like, oh, it wasn't what I needed, but actually you chose to give that hour time to you. And that choice in itself is, you know, is just as healing, as just as contributing as the thing, you know, that kind of that decision to put you first, you know, even just that one time or a few times, or just choosing to explore and be curious.
Yeah, and maybe, if I know there's definitely been times I've forced myself to do things like yoga, and actually what I needed to do was sleep. And instead of just forcing and pushing through that, oh, I should be doing it, that actually just stay in bed and sleep. And it was far more beneficial for me. And that again ties into the more I listened to my body, the more that became apparent, and really, yeah, really taking care to sleep and going to bed earlier. You know, this is all, that's like a radical act of self-love for me, was to go to bed earlier. Which sounds crazy, but for me that was really a thing of staying up late because of performing late and everything, and then even on my days off still being in that pattern and saying, no, actually you're tired, just go to sleep, and it's okay to do that.
Definitely. And I tried this on the Wake and Belly Dance training. I needed to lie until 11 a.m, but no, Katie made me get up early. I was like, no, you're gonna use the axe and chop wood early in the morning. I was like, no, I need to sleep all day. I do like my lie-ins, but yeah, and yeah, sometimes it is a lie-in, but yeah, just being aware of that self-sabotage as well. definitely with the late nights or the lie-ins.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. I said I could talk to you for hours, but we'll have to, bring snacks, bring chips, and we'll do a few hours next time.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you want to know more about Katie, then below this video there is the links for her website for Wake and Belly Dance. And it's not just Wake and Belly Dance, she does everything in a dance. You know, there's retreats on there as well, online and in person, the Access Consciousness, Reiki, everything. But I highly encourage you, you know, there's some personal experience. You know, Wake and Belly Dance is life-changing. And, you know, on the Wake and Belly Dance, you can learn more about Katie, and then there's facilitators all over the world as well with this. And it's only going to grow, I think, as people, you know, receive the amazingness that it is. So do check her out more, and check out the other interviews as well from all the other practitioners and all that they are offering. And thank you so much for watching today and being here and receiving this video. And yeah, I invite you to maybe go away now and have a little dance in honor of the Wake and Belly Dance, and just really enjoy it and love you through those movements, and love the way your body moves, and love the music, and love being alive. So lots of love to all our audience, and thank you so much, Katie, again.
Oh, thank you, Rachel, and thank you for bringing all of your magic into this world. And you, just to quickly share that, when probably around the time, I know you know this, but when we first met, and I was really at this point of what am I doing, and I'm trying to create this thing, and I don't know what I'm doing, it's never going to happen. I just felt like I was really getting stuck more than making progress. And then I had this conversation with you, and you said, I really want to learn everything that you do, and when are you going to do a training course and everything? And it was really like okay, I have to do this, I have to do it, because now people are asking me, and you were really such a catalyst. And I guess that feeling of like, yeah, people are really interested in what I'm doing, and it's and that I have got something to bring to the world. So thank you for that. And it's been really beautiful to see your journey and how you flourished, how you are flourishing. Yeah.
Katie's my favourite teacher.
Oh.
I remember that same day when I'm going off on a tangent now on a story, but on the same day, I'm sure we were doing like Sufi whirling. And I remember after the workshop, I had to sit down and I was like so overwhelmed. My whole body was so activated. I don't even remember, but I was just, I couldn't move. And somebody asked me, what does it feel like? And I said, it feels like I have just had like the best sex that was absolutely possible. And it was just like, my body was just like, I feel like I've just had like 10 hours of like, anyway, so yeah, so if you want to experience that.
Don't give all the secrets away. And sorry, I'm going my friend always says to me when we talk, and she's like, oh God, you're always and just to finish, if you can see, I know that you know these rings. So this is my right hand. So I've got, this is what's come to be known as a awakened belly dance ring. And when I had the first Kundalini explosion, I was in Nepal and I got this ring, and it was it felt to me like I was marrying my feminine. It was my divine feminine, because I knew that I couldn't ignore her anymore, and I really needed to value her. So this was pretty much exactly 12 years ago, actually. And if you can see, I don't know with the light, you can see here and see here. So it's like secret ring. And then last year, with working on this masculine aspect, I was in Turkey and I was doing a whirling course. And if you can see, so this was my marriage to my divine masculine that I wear on my left hand. And it really felt like something had come to an integration point within myself. So yeah, I really feel like full power with these rings.
And you can also, you can buy that which hand
yes.
you said that. You can buy the ring, can't you?
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't a shameless plug, by the way.
No, it's a beautiful ring, so.
Yeah, I've got this in rings and also in pendants as well. I haven't got it on today, but it's the same basically as a pendant, and lots of other goodies on the Shakti Pants page. Yeah,
so if you've seen all my students will know my pixi coats and my bright orange pants that are a bit famous. They're all from Katie. I can blame a lot on Katie. Okay, fabulous. So yeah, I should put all of those links underneath so you can check all of them out. You can have some some nighttime reading, going through all of the everything there is to offer there, and receive all of those goodies. Fabulous. So yeah, wishing you lots of love, and thank you, and see you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rachel.
You're welcome.